Hello there, once again, fellow peregrinos. Welcome to El Camino de Santiago, Pilgrim's podcast, where we talk about planning, preparation and packing for walking the road to Santiago, as well as tips, tricks and hacks to make your journey along the way a lot more enjoyable and memorable. And we might even throw in a few stories along the way to whet your appetite. In this podcast episode, we have the privilege, the pleasure, the honor of talking to a German pilgrim. Mathias Schlick, I hope I said that right, has walked the Camino del Norte. He's walked the Camino Portuguese coastal route. He has walked the Camino Primitivo. He has walked the Camino Frances. We are so lucky to have such an experienced pilgrim with us. So, Mathias, we're going to take you back to that very, very first time you walked the Camino and you trudge into the office, in the pilgrim office in Santiago, to get your Compostela, which is the certificate of completion that all the pilgrims that have walked at least 100 kilometers get to. They get awarded, and they ask you the question: what was your motive for walking the Camino? Was it religious? Was it others? What did you say? What was the reason you did the epic walk to Santiago?
Yeah. Okay. So what the box that I ticked was the religious one, but to be honest, that was a blatant lie, because it had to be others, or like. The reason I did the Camino was just because I wanted to challenge myself. I read about it. In fact, it is a little bit of an awkward story how I get interested in walking the Camino in the first place. But the reason I ticked the religious box is that I read in a German guidebook that you could possibly get a different kind of Compostela if you do not tick the religious box. So I ticked that one just to make sure I get the best Compostela, so to speak.
The real Compostela.
Yeah, the real one. I mean, to be honest, to this day, I'm not sure if there are two different versions, but I got a little bit scared that I might not get the best one, which obviously it doesn't matter at all. But yeah, so I tick that box.
You walk all that way, you want the proper one, the real one, the authentic one.
Exactly.
Okay, the one that's been signed by St. James. No, of course, that's not possible. But okay, so tell us, what was your first Camino?
So my first Camino was the Camino del Norte, which is just a beautiful path alongside the coast of northern Spain. Basically the same length as the Camino Frances, roughly 800 kilometers, but just, I think, 150 to 200 kilometers above the Camino Frances.
And for you, how does the Camino del Norte compare to the others that you've walked? But I ask because I think for me, I haven't walked the Camino del Norte, and I had to abandon it a couple of years ago because I was having some knee problems, and I thought, right, well, this is full of ups and downs, and it's probably not what my body needs right now. Thankfully, I'm over the worst of that now, but how does it compare for you? And was it harder? How is it different? And what would you recommend for someone who's maybe, is it possible for someone who's just started it? I know there's a lot of questions I've asked there, just kind of riffing off the top of my head. But yeah, let's start with the first one. I mean, would you recommend it for someone that's beginning compared to the others?
I mean, I would say that it might really be the toughest one of them all. It's not just that there's one day that is tough, because the Camino del Norte doesn't have a single day that is comparable to like the first day on the Camino Frances from Saint-Jean to Roncesvalles, but it's just the average of like the height meters you have to ascend and to descend. I guess that's the most you can do. And it's really taxing on your knees if you're not experienced. So plenty of people I walked with had problems with their knees because of the constant ups and downs. And I have to mention that I really prepared for this one. I was a little bit scared. and I lost some weight before I even started because I got a little bit scared from the German guidebook that warned us that you really have to be in shape in order to do it and to reach Santiago unharmed, so to speak. And so basically I'm a walker for my entire life, never had a car, and I usually walk everywhere when I can. And I guess I was really prepared for it, but I met plenty of people who had problems with their knees or their Achilles tendon just because they weren't used to walk all day, every day, and that for weeks. So if you wanted to do the Camino del Norte as your first Camino, I really think you need to be in shape or used to walk there. You need to have hiking experience so that you know where your limits are and that you are able to do it. I
Great
guess
advice.
the warnings are very appropriate because you do not want to make it not past day 3 or 4.
Great advice. Thank you. Now let's get to the heart of the matter here. Let's talk about the planning, preparation, packing. Now you're obviously a very experienced pilgrim. You've probably got thousands of Camino de Santiago kilometers under your belt by the looks of it, and I'm going to challenge you here to tell me, if you had to go back tomorrow to the Camino, what, if you could take only one other thing as well as your clothes, backpack, shoes and phone, only one other thing, and of course, change of clothing, what would it be?
Okay, that's very easy for me to answer because I had to learn this the hard way on my very first day. And the answer has to be earplugs. It has to be. Because the background is that on my first night in Irún, in the municipal albergue, there was this very big room, like a room of maybe 20 to 25 people. And I guess you can imagine the sound at night. And
yes, the symphony of snoring. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm somewhat of a light sleeper, and so there were maybe three or four people snoring the entire night. And at some point I had to start laughing because it was just so ridiculous loud. And the next day, a little bit of sleep deprivation led me to immediately walk to the next pharmacy and buy a big pack of earplugs. And I really needed it because you just need the sleep in order to recover and tackle the next day. And
that's great advice. Without any shadow of a doubt, earplugs are invaluable on the Camino. And just in case anyone's listening and wondering if they do have to go into a chemist, a pharmacy, farmacia, and ask for the word for earplugs is tapones. Tapones. ¿Tienes tapones? ¿Tienes tapones? Do you have earphones? Earplugs, not earphones. And they may well be the difference between a good night's sleep and a bad night's sleep and a good Camino or a bad Camino if you are planning to stay in the albergue. So excellent advice there. And yes, I think that could definitely be in contention for the one other thing I would take. Okay, so you're on the Camino del Norte or the Camino Portuguese. What was your hardest, lowest moment, most challenging moment on all of those Caminos? How did you get through it, and what advice would you give to yourself and others were they to experience the same thing that you did?
I guess that the hardest day physically was around day 2 or 3 on the Camino del Norte because I just I fell one day and I somewhat bent my ankle and almost twisted it. I was in a big boot, but it still hurt very bad, and I really struggled to walk that day. And I also had 2 very big blisters, which I took care of immediately. But that was physically really hard. and I was very slow that day. But I guess the biggest challenge for me wasn't the physical part. It was rather, how can I say this? So at some point, I met a few people, which we became very good friends in a matter of 1 or 2 days. And at some point, I had to realize that they will leave because they had some time constraints, or another time I was just way too fast for them, and it started to somewhat annoy me that they are basically they're holding me back. It was just not that I wanted to spend time with them, but I noticed that it is really getting somewhat annoying for me. And even though I really wanted to spend time with them, I noticed that I can't do it anymore. And how can I express this? I would have liked to spend more time with them, but I noticed that our time has to end right now. And the moment I realized this, that was a very sad moment, just because I noticed that it was a beautiful time. It was great walking with them, sharing experiences and stories, but it had to come to an end, because it's just, you have to follow your own speed. And if there's someone who can't possibly do more than 20 kilometers a day, and you're a person who likes to go for 30, 35, maybe even more, you cannot walk with someone like that. It's just too much of a hassle for you in the long run. And that was not a very nice moment when I realized that I need to go on my own again.
So it was dealing with the emotional
dilemma
that you had of, actually, I feel like I can do more, but I don't want to break up this friendship that I've had along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's put yourself in the shoes of a first-time pilgrim, and they're in the same situation. What would you say to them to kind of, I guess, weigh up which is most important for them? Because sometimes some pilgrims might be thinking, well, actually, I'm really enjoying the friendship and the camaraderie, and the sense of being part of something like this team that we have walking to Santiago. And other times it's like, well, actually, my body just feels like it needs to do more. I have actually been in both situations as well, and yeah, it can be tough. What would you say? How can you prioritize what's most important in that moment?
Yes, so I guess you have to make this decision really day by day. So the first day when I met the people I walked with for 2 or 3 days, I just felt like the camaraderie was much more important than reaching the goal I set in the morning. And we had a beautiful day, and we ate together in the evening at the albergue. And the second day also was very nice. And starting at day 3, I really noticed, okay, I can't do 17, 18 kilometers a day. That's not for me. And at some point, you really start to notice. And if you don't feel well in the situation, either be honest and talk to them and tell them, hey, I really would like to go on. Maybe let's meet up there or there. And if not, I mean, you still can exchange phone numbers or social media accounts, and that's not a problem. But I guess at some point, you have to make the decision if you want to stay with them or just follow your own speed and go as far as you want. And if that means you have to split up, then you have to split up.
That's a really good advice, actually, because I guess what you're saying is you don't have to actually burn the bridges if you do go ahead, if you do feel like your body can do more and you do need that physical challenge. So you can, obviously, it's so easy to stay in contact with people these days. Social media, mobile phone numbers, whatever it may be. And you could also say, well, actually, I think I'll be in Santiago on this day if you're going to be there too. Fantastic. Or I might see you in Finisterre. I might be in Finisterre for a certain amount of time. I just wonder, though, looking in retrospect, looking back, Mathias, would you have done anything differently? Do you think it was that important now to have gone on and got that physical, the physical hit, the physical fix, the physical satisfaction? Or do you think, would you do the same in the future?
I guess I would do the same thing again, exactly like I did it, just because I guess there was a reason I felt like it, and I really needed to go my own speed. And unfortunately, I never saw this group of people again, just because they also took a day off, I think 1 or 2 days after we split up, and I didn't, and there was no chance I would ever see them again. But other people I got to know on the Camino, I met them again, like once every single week. They were just somewhat in front of me, or just had a little lunch break somewhere in a cafe, or just was sitting on next to a tree. And sometimes you see people again, and some of them even like became my sort of a shadow. I met them over and over again, and we never talked about meeting up again. But some people you really meet over and over again, and others, you don't. But that's just how the Camino is, I guess.
And it's very similar to life. I mean, if you look at it from a kind of esoterical perspective, I guess, it's like, well, they say you meet everybody for a reason. So maybe there's a reason you were crossing with these people continuously, and maybe there's a reason that the other guys you didn't see them again. And just like life, we have people come into our life at certain points, and they may come and go. And you might meet them for a reason, whether it be professional or friendship or whatever that may be. And that's why the Camino is such a microcosm of life, exactly. A whole life in 1 month, and that's why it is so special. Let's move on to, you did mention that you had some blisters as well. I want you to give one piece of advice for caring for your feet. One piece of advice.
That one piece of advice would be take care of it immediately. If you feel something rubbing on your foot, on your feet, immediately take care of it. Because if you start to take care of it when it really hurts, it's too late. Because then you already have the blister filled with water and have some pressure on it, or maybe even just opened it up and it is infected. So if you feel something rubbing, take a break. Take care of your feet. Change socks. Use a blister patch immediately, and just act immediately is the best sort of advice I can give, because you really don't want to have a pressure blister filled with water. And take care of it immediately, and take care that it doesn't get infected, so that you can keep walking.
So let's look at you. I know you've returned recently to the Camino Frances as well, and let's imagine you're about to go back again, as we have done already in this interview. And is there something you'd do differently, or on your next Camino, something you think I'm going to do different this time?
Especially comparing to my first Camino, and with the knowledge I have now, I guess I would somewhat ignore the advice of people that I'm not that comparable to. I hope you understand what I mean. Just because so many people warn you that that's too much, don't do that. Because just everyone is different. And the best example is my guidebook. One of the big German guidebooks warns you that some paths shouldn't be hiked at all, because it's just too much for most people. And that might be true especially for older people, but that isn't necessarily a thing that you need to take care of. So I'm quite a fit guy, quite a strong guy. So these limitations might they might come in, this sort of advice might come in handy for some people, but maybe not for you. So now I know what I'm capable of. And if someone tells me, no, don't do that route, that is very taxing on your body, I guess I would ignore it and just challenge myself.
We had a really nice New Yorker I hope I'm saying her name correctly, because it's been nearly 40 episodes since that. But Zaira Rizvi, she said, "You do you," and I really like
exactly.
that. You do you. So you do the podcast. You do the podcast. You do the Camino, not the podcast. You do the Camino your own way. So while it's great to get all this advice, it's so important that you do it in your own way as well, and the way that you feel is best. And I think you've alluded to that already, but that you need that physical challenge. I wonder as well, I mean, there are so many physical challenges around the world in terms of hiking trails. Why have you kept coming back to the Camino? What's bringing you back to the Camino every time, when you could be, I don't know, doing the Appalachian Trail in America, or you could be doing the Pacific Northwest Trail, something like that? Why the Camino?
I mean, I guess I have to go back right to the end of 2018. That was the point where I got interested in walking the Camino. So I stumbled across a social media profile of the cousin of a good friend of mine, and I remembered that she walked the Camino Portuguese a few years back at that time, and then I was a little bit bored and Googled Camino de Santiago and saw that there are different routes. And then I saw pictures of the Camino del Norte, and it just looked beautiful. So that's how I got interested in the December of 2018, and decided to walk it in spring 2019. And yeah, so I just got hooked after my first few days. I realized, okay, this is great. I love hiking. I don't have a problem spending the night in a crowded sleeping room with people snoring. I can handle that. And yeah, the feeling of the communities were just so great. I just love the fact that you talk to different people every day, or you don't need to, but you can. And for me, it was just the beauty of the Camino del Norte, especially just because you walk alongside the sea and the mountains all day. And I love the sea and I love the mountains, and that was just perfect. And after I did that, I realized, okay, this is just one of maybe a dozen Caminos in Spain and Portugal. And yeah, I did the Camino Primitivo basically 6 weeks after I came back from the Camino del Norte, because I was so hooked on the Camino de Santiago.
I think one word I took from what you said there was community. And I say that because over Christmas this year, just gone, my wife and I walked a trail in England, and we chose this trail mainly because we were anticipating new lockdown restrictions coming in England and Spain. So we thought, let's just stay on home turf. Let's do something we've always had an eye on, which is it's called the Leeds to Liverpool Canal. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. A beautiful walk for any English pilgrims that want to do some training. Any pilgrims anywhere around the world that want to do some training, actually, that come to England and do this. It's flat. It's so easy. It's a good way to get your miles in. But it was missing that community that you're talking about. The seeing fellow hikers, pilgrims, walkers that are on the same adventure as you. And because my wife and I were literally the only people doing this whole canal walk, the locals look at you strangely and suspiciously rather than knowing what you're doing. They don't understand what you're doing, and I think that can make you feel a bit uneasy. Whereas on the Camino, the locals all know what you're doing, and they'll come to you. Sometimes they'll offer you some free water or free fruit, or I even had some lady come up to me once and offer me some homeopathic pills for my blisters, because she could see I was walking. So it's that community, I think, is one of the big reasons that people keep coming back. So I really identify with that. And also you talk about the natural beauty of the Camino del Norte, which is something that definitely drew me to it. So, thank you for clarifying that, and definitely, helping me to understand what was missing on my recent journey across England on the Leeds to Liverpool Canal. So we'll talk about your hardest moment. Let's talk about your highest moment out of from all of your Caminos. What's the standout, happy, feel good memory?
I guess, I mean, it's very hard to think of a single greatest moment, but I guess I have to go back to the Camino del Norte and the physical challenge part. So there was this one stretch. Wait a second, I wrote it down. Where was it? It was right before or after Cudillero, and my guidebook warned again that there is just an alternative route through the mountains, but that it was not recommended if you're not physically very, very fit and are able to ascend very high and slippery mountains. And at that point, I walked the Camino together with with the women I met there, which I also did the Camino Portuguese this year with. And we climbed the mountain, and it was quite challenging, not as bad as they made it out to be in the guidebook, but we were the only two pilgrims on the entire alternative route, and it was raining all day and it was windy and it really was a challenge. And when we made it to the top of the mountain, which in fact I guess wasn't that high, but if you walk on the mountains and there's nobody in sight for 3 or 4 hours, it just feels very special to reach the top. And when we reached the top, it was just a great moment. That's just to have reached that goal and saw nobody on the path, that was, for me, it was very special because I wasn't sure if it was a good idea to do it, even though that was like day 20, I guess. So I was really used to the Camino del Norte at this point. But for me, that felt very special.
The extra mile is often lonely, for those who go the extra mile, as they say, it's often lonely. So that's what comes to mind when you tell me that story. I remember a similar feeling when I walked up O Cebreiro, and I remember looking down and there was pilgrims kind of walking along the road that hooks around the mountain, and I was up there at the top looking down thinking, you guys just don't know what you're missing. Just doing that easy route and look at the views up here and the fresh air and the eucalyptus in the air from the pine trees. And I just remember feeling, that similar high as well. Okay, so I wanted to go through a few recommendations. And a hidden gem on any of the Caminos, a place that surprised you maybe had never heard of it, you might have heard of it, but like you didn't expect it to be so amazing.
Yeah, that's also for me, that's one specific city in the Basque region, which I entered at the end of my first hiking day. It's the beautiful city of San Sebastian. San Sebastian, it's just, for me, it was just perfect, just because I also arrived in San Sebastian. When I flew from Germany, I flew from Frankfurt International Airport to Madrid, and from Madrid to San Sebastian Airport. And it was just, I loved it when we landed there. It was just, you come from the mountains and fly directly towards the sea, and that was just beautiful. And once I arrived, and when I hiked down the mountain, I really enjoyed the city. It's just, the Basque region overall is very beautiful, and I think everyone should really go, really needs to see San Sebastian. I mean, it's a beautiful city, great food, nice people. The coast is just also very nice. You need to see San Sebastian.
What about an albergue that stands out for you from all of the nights you've stayed on the Camino and all of the thousands of kilometers you've traveled? You've got to recommend one albergue right now. Which one are you going to recommend?
I have to go with the one that was the weirdest to me. It is a beautiful one, but the experience there was quite weird. So I have to go with that one. And it's a smaller one in a city or village called, I guess it's Cueres. It's right before Ribadesea, and it's called Reposo del Adayon.
Okay.
It's run by a very nice woman also coming from Spain, and she runs a hotel and also the albergue, and they are basically next to each other. And she, you have this big communal dinner, and she gets all the vegetables from the garden. It's all homegrown. And that was a very nice experience. Beside the fact that when we arrived, we all had to give her our clothes we wore that day. Just because we had to wear her clothes, so specific clothes from Decathlon, like Decathlon shirts and shorts and all that, because she had problems before with bed bugs. So pilgrims came from other cities and brought bed bugs, and it's very expensive to clean all the beds and the sheets from the bed bugs. So she forced us to wear her clothes, and that was really somewhat off-putting for some of us. But after we arrived and she explained to us why we had to do it, most of us understood and did it. But that was really a very weird experience.
That's really, really, really funny. And, we've said this many times on this podcast, only on the Camino would you find something like that. It's very, very funny.
Oh,
so you can stay here, but you've got to wear my clothes.
Exactly. But she was, don't get me wrong, she was very nice, and she washed all our clothes for free.
Yeah.
The place is beautiful, and she had a very nice shower outside. And it was a great experience. It's just if you arrive there and people tell you that you have to wear her clothes and she washes yours, it's a little bit weird, but I can only recommend that place.
Yeah, and she had good reason to do that, obviously. So she was actually thinking of you guys more than anything. So just want to make sure we got the right spellings, the right pronunciation, so we can make sure the listeners can find this place. It sounds like it could be an experience. So it's the Albergue de Cueres. How do you spell Cueres?
No, it's called the Reposo del Adayon.
Reposo de Adayon. Okay.
Yes,
is Adayon A-D...
A-D-A Y-O-N.
Y-O-N, okay.
And the city is Cueres, or village, rather.
Okay, and how do you spell Cueres, just so people know?
C-U-E-R-E-S.
Okay, excellent. There you have it, everyone. Look that place up, and you shall find a very, very, very quirky place on the Camino. Excellent. And this obviously stands out for you.
Oh, yeah.
And you've walked a lot of kilometers on the Camino, so it must be special. Now, I know this is sometimes hard to do, but just in case you have got someone that stands out, a favorite bar or restaurant on the Camino.
Yeah, that had to be two of them. The first one, I think it was in a podcast of yours maybe 1 or 2 months ago. It's the great pizzeria in Pontevedra.
It's so strange. I was just thinking about that place as I was asking the question.
I think I just looked it up a few minutes ago, and I guess it's the Pizzeria La Bella Napoli, but I'm not 100% sure. It's just they have great pasta and pizza, and a very welcoming and nice chef, and you get a free limoncello in the end.
Yes.
When you're about to pay. And I also can tell you a little funny story about this, because when we arrived, I was there a few months ago, in fact, in late July of 2021, and we were a group of 4 pilgrims. And we were very, very hungry and arrived there. They opened up and they were not sure if they really wanted us to go there, just because, we all know how we pilgrims usually look like. Only wearing a shirt and shorts, and not that handsome like we can usually be. But at some point they let us in. I guess they wanted to have us sit outside, but we really wanted to go in. And at some point then they let us in, even though you could really see they weren't sure if it's worth it for them to give us a seat inside. But the food was delicious. And after they noticed that we're not just there to have a glass of water and then leave again, they treated us really, really nice. And the pizza and pasta was just perfect. And the chef had a little talk with us. And it was just a very great experience. For everyone who walks the Camino Portuguese and passes Pontevedra, you should really go there. It's delicious and really nice people.
Okay, so now we're going to go into the lap of honor round. So for those that don't know, when you get to Santiago, you can do a lap of honor to the Atlantic coast, to Finisterre, which was once known as the end of the world before the Americas were discovered. It can be a short walk of 3 days, 3 long days, I should say, or it can be 4 days if you want to chop up probably the second day. It could even be longer if you want to make it that long, if you've got the luxury of time. But anyway, in honor of the lap of honor that we can make to to Finisterre after Santiago, we're going to do the lap of honor round. So short, sharp, quick answers to these short, sharp, quick questions. So your favorite Camino blog, vlog, book, and or film?
Hard to tell. I guess film is the way, but I also really enjoy the YouTube videos from my fellow pilgrims who upload their individual Caminos. That's just great.
Names of one of them?
I really can't tell you. I never remember their names. It's just I love watching other people sharing their experience. But if you just type in Camino Frances or Camino del Norte on YouTube, you will find dozens of people sharing their experiences, and that's just beautiful.
Fantastic. Favorite food and or drink on a Camino?
I guess the favorite has to be the Spanish tortilla, just because I can eat that each and every day. And then also every sort of tostada you can have, tostada con tomate, for example.
Aside from the earplugs, one thing you wished you'd packed on one of your first Caminos?
More disposable shirts, because one time someone stole a very, very expensive shirt I packed. So more Decathlon clothes, I guess.
I'm going to add one thing to that I thought of as well. On my last Camino back in the summer, I lost my inflatable pillow. And I tell you what, the rest of my Camino was never the same without my inflatable pillow. Just loved that thing, blowing it up, having a little snooze. If the pillows are a bit crappy in some hotels where you stay, you can always blow that up. And
those ones are great, the inflatable.
Oh, inflatable pillows, it's the future. Okay, so one thing you didn't need and wouldn't take again on any of your Caminos?
I guess that would have to be a raincoat or rain trousers, just because usually you're there in the spring or summer, and if you get wet, usually I wear synthetic clothes and they get dry in a very short time, so you don't need a raincoat or rain trousers.
A quote or mantra for tough times on the road?
It's not a quote, but I guess I would say something like, I won't be stopped. I will reach my goal.
A guilty pleasure that you perhaps carried with you?
Oh my God, it's just electronics in general. Let's say my iPad and the charger that basically was like 2 or 2.5 additional kilos in my backpack. Okay,
a Spanish product or shop that came in useful that pilgrims can look out for along the way?
Okay, so in Santander, I really needed the local Decathlon just because someone stole some stuff from me and I needed to buy new socks and underwear.
It's like Decathlon has everything, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Everything you could ever need on a pilgrimage. Okay. A Camino app, internet resource you used before, during, or after the Camino?
I guess the best forum you can use is the forum from Iva Refke in Santiago. I can't remember the exact name, but if you type that in, I think it's somewhat like the Camino forum that just offers great advice. And if you need an app, there are plenty of them. I tend to use the specific Wise Pilgrim app for the specific Camino.
Great stuff. Okay, now just before we finish, the Camino obviously has just such a special meaning for so many people, and there's so many, I guess, ideas that we talk about around the Camino, that the Camino provides, that the Camino has this very special spirit and a magic energy we won't find anywhere else on the planet. I certainly haven't found it. Bob Scheitz, who's an amazing pilgrim that I interviewed about 40 episodes ago, he says the Camino's got something. The Camino's got something. Do you have any stories to show that little something that the Camino has that may sway someone who's thinking, you know what, I don't think this Camino thing's for me, or maybe next year, maybe tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. One story that shows that magic is still alive and could push someone onto the Camino.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
tentative.
I guess it's nothing that big or special, but for me, it really meant much because in Germany, and I guess in most other countries, that stuff wouldn't happen. So I guess on a few bigger hikes, there are those so-called, the trail angels, I think you call it in the US. And on the Camino del Norte and also on the Camino Frances, right after Leon this year, sometimes you find little stands where like people prepared a little food and carried some water there, or maybe even have a toilet that you can use, and it's basically in the middle of nowhere, and they just provide for you so you can have free water, a few snacks, a banana, take an orange, an apple, and they just take care. And they also do not want money for that. They obviously take small donations, so just that they can buy some more fruit and some more water. But noticing that there's someone there that will take care of pilgrims if they need help, that feeling was just great. Every time I see something where you can just grab something if you need it, or can leave something behind for other people, for me, that always was a very special feeling that you basically can only get on the Camino.
And often you find those places that are this kind of thing in those places where maybe there's no bars or cafes for long stretches.
Yeah, exactly.
And they know strategically to stand in that point where you're probably feeling tired, maybe lonely, and need the company, and just their mere presence just lifts you up, doesn't it?
Yeah, having a small talk to someone, it's just great if they see you're suffering, you're tired, and they come towards you, give you a bottle of water or some nectarines, a banana. For me that sometimes was really overwhelming and just a great feeling that there are people there that do that, and it's so rare nowadays, I guess. And yeah, it just feels great. Everyone who experienced that, and I talked to every one of them, really loved it.
That links back to your whole idea of community as well, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, I mean, like I said, I really sensed that. I said to my wife when we did this canal walk, it was absolutely beautiful. I said, but it's missing that support network that the Camino has, and not only the physical support, but also the emotional support that you get from your fellow pilgrims and your locals. And as Mathias says, if you are not sure about walking the Camino, then you will find your Camino angels when you need them, and the Camino will provide for you when you are most in need. And you just have to do it to experience that and to know what we're talking about. And that story definitely does show that. The Camino is like a university for life. I think it's always teaching you something. in every single moment if you're just open and aware of the message that's trying to get through to you. It could be via a person, could be via the challenge that you're facing in any given moment. But what's a lesson that you've taken from your Caminos into your everyday life? Is there some experience from your Camino and you've managed to you've learned from that, and when you experience similar challenges in your everyday life, maybe in your work, maybe in relationships, maybe in friendships, that you've been able to integrate, the biggest lesson the Camino has taught you?
So I guess for me, the biggest lesson I learned was that you shouldn't let other people tell you what your limitations are and what you can or cannot do. Obviously, especially on the Camino can be quite tough. I mean, you walk all day. You can walk alone. You can walk in groups. But I think you have to realize that everyone is different, and what might be impossible for someone else might be not even good enough for you. So that, for example, if some people might not be able to walk more than 15 kilometers a day, you might want to walk 30 or challenge yourself by going a very hard alternative route. And yeah, for me, it was always this part of test your boundaries. That suits the Camino, but also in real life. But still consider, if you test your boundaries, you need to know what you're doing and you really should be safe. So basically, for example, this year on the Camino Frances, I walked it in August, and especially the meseta can be very taxing on your body, and you need to know the stretches where there's no service in between, and you need to bring enough water. So you can test your boundaries out there too, but be safe, know what you're doing, and be prepared.
Lastly, a Camino song. One that gets you in the Camino mood or reminds you of the Camino. You can even sing it if you want.
Oh no, I better don't.
Because we know many famous singers from Germany, such as David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, especially him, of course.
I'm sorry if I sound very ignorant there. You can tell us some other very famous singers from Germany. But I was just cracking a very bad joke there. I'm really into music while walking the Camino. Basically, when I'm not in a conversation with a fellow pilgrim, I tend to listen to music a long part of the day, I guess. Maybe even too much, but I'm not the spiritual kind of pilgrim, so I guess that's okay for me. So I listen to my favorite music, which is basically rock and hip hop. But a special song from the Camino, I cannot remember the name, but I really enjoyed this French Camino song, like the very traditional, the old song. I cannot remember the name, but it's a very historic song, even taught in French schools, people told me, but I cannot remember the title of the song. It's just people tend to sing it shortly before arriving to Santiago. And it sounds really great, but I can't possibly remember the name of it. Sorry. Yeah, maybe it's a bit vague, but French Camino song, maybe do a little search for that and it might come up with something. But I on the topics of songs, I mean, I think it's such an easy way to lift your spirits when you're feeling tired is to just put some music on, if that's what you prefer, or even to just I just like to sing at the top of my voice when I'm tired, and it does take your mind off it, and probably not it's too pleasurable if you've got people have to listen to me, but I won't do it loud enough to annoy people. But I do really think it's a really nice way to and natural way to raise your vibration and raise your energy levels. And just sometimes tiredness is a psychological thing. take your mind off it, and that's a trick, just to think about something else and singing. I know my wife likes to sing a hymn that she learned in church, and that was "Walk with Me," and I laugh every time I hear her singing it because I know she's tired. And I don't know the words; those are the only words I know, but I know it's "Walk with Me." But Mathias, I mean, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, and as a man that's walked more Caminos than myself, and it's not a competition, but it's great to be in such experienced company and great company, and to talk to a fellow pilgrim. Any plans to do another one sometime soon?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, because this year I did two of them, the Camino Portuguese, and right after that I started the Camino Frances. So maybe at some point, but I guess not this year, I will do the Via de la Plata, but I might be more interested in doing some more alpine treks. So I guess, I'm also very interested in hiking in the Alps. So maybe next year I will do the Via de la Plata. And at some point, I'm sure I will do the Camino del Norte again, just because it's so beautiful. And like I said, I'm in love with San Sebastian, and I need to see it again.
Well, for whichever one you choose, I want to wish you buen camino.
Thank you.